I don't know. I'm just glad I can still do it. And I think if the heart of your desires is to be transformative as an artist, what better thing to do than take on Leona Helmsley and give you secrets you've never heard before? And it ain't my job to judge her. I'm not going to judge her for you. I'm just going to be her. You judge for yourself.
TOVAH Felshu, I am thrilled, just thrilled, and it sounded so great up there. Tell us about this show you're going to do on the Queen of Mean, Leona Helmsley. I mean, this is amazing.
I was thrilled to be approached by Alex Lippert, the book writer, David Lee, the lyricist, and Ron Passero, the composer, who have put together a show called The Queen of Mean, a Broadway-bound musical. In supporting them, I am now tied into the project in its very early stages. I said, look, fellas, let's get some additional financial support for your aspirations and vision. Let me take your score and fashion it into an act. And then I had the good fortune to call Richard Frankel and Jennifer Tepper and Dylan Bustamante, and they said, you're on. So it's July 5th, 6th, and 7th. Could be viewed as problematic dates, but remember, July 4th is a Wednesday, and those of you who have careers, it's in the middle of your week. So if you're like my children, you're not leaving for the weekend. So why don't you come at least be with me opening night on Thursday? You can have a full weekend off anyway. But now this is Leona. I intend to vamp till ready. You know, I've been around the block, the cell block. And I've learned that cabaret acts nowadays have to have a theme. Well, we've honed and polished and crystallized my theme. My theme is so tight, you could bounce a quarter off of it. And I can give it to you in 2 words. Real estate, real estate, it's the one place a lady can thrive. Real estate, if she doesn't get, eaten alive. There's plenty of Jews, and if you pay your dues, and you're clever, it's never too late. Got no knowledge, no skills, no degree, no debate. Real estate. I'm there July 5th, 6th, and 7th, and I'm doing an entirely new act. Jamie, I don't think I've done a new act, without Grandma Ada, without any of my pillars, and I am flying free here. I had the great fortune to hire Jeff Harner as my director, conceptualist, and James Bossi, who's my extraordinary musical director and meticulous arranger, to work on this act with me. And Jeff and my thank you conceit, God bless Jeff Harner, is that Leona is backed by very special arrangement from Purgatory, looking back at her life from 2018. And the Queen of Mean is going to become the Queen of Cabaret. This is her cabaret debut. On her way to 54 Below, she passed the Palace, which is no longer the Helmsley Palace, but it's the Lot Palace. So she says, thanks a lot. Lot. In all events, she tries to get through a cabaret act using American classics that you will know. And about 8 or 9 measures in, she can barely get through, and the lyrics of the well-known songs trip her into musical monologue of the original score of this musical.
How wonderful. You should have gone to her dog for backing of the show, because the dog, I think, is one of the wealthiest members of the family.
The dog is in the show, not the actual dog, but I sing about the dog. And the dog was left $12 million, and then her grandchildren sued, and he was then left $2 million, and each grandchild got $5 million. Those are people that she cut off. And she did things that are similar to Trump. Maybe it came with the territory where people do work for you and then you don't pay them properly. It's funny, I have a friend of mine who was an artist, and he worked for a real estate mogul here. And I believe he was a Baldwin artist, so he got them their piano at a 10% discount because it helped them. And he got his fee for his concert, but they wouldn't pay him for the rental of the piano.
Oh my goodness.
They never reimbursed him, and he bothered them, and finally 6 months later they begrudgingly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's how she got indicted. Also, the wonderful parallel is that Leona Helmsley was not alone in being indicted for tax evasion. She was joined earlier on by the people at Studio 54, so I'll be 54 below. If you're indicted, you're invited. And Ian Schrager and Steve Rebell were indicted for the same thing, tax evasion, as was Boesky, as was Milken. I mean, the 80s were extravagant, and then Rudy Giuliani was district attorney, and he wanted to run for mayor. And he ended up being a superb mayor, particularly during 9/11. But he went after Leona, and he was a bulldog.
Well, she did have a terrible reputation. And look at you, you got the wig and everything.
Well, it shows you the importance of reputation. It's what John, his name has momentarily escaped me, but in The Crucible, the lead says, if I don't have my name, I have nothing. Oh. And he dies for his good name. So there's a song that's beautiful it goes, "No limits, that's what we'll have." And she talks about the beauty of seeing things, but the truth is she had no limits in certain of her business dealings, and it did her in.
That's too bad.
And yeah, it was really too bad. But she deeply loved Harry, and she was devoted to him, and she was a devoted wife, and she was a genius with running her hotels in terms of the quality that she gave her guests. Now, at what cost is another thing. They say talent is the ability to hit a target nobody else can hit. Genius is the ability to hit a target nobody else can see.
Wow.
So she was a genius in this one area, in being a balabusta, in being the executive mother to her homes, and her homes were her hotels. So if there was dust on the table, it was as if it were on her face. If there was an insect in the corner, it was as if it were crawling up her arm. There was no separation between her and her properties. And she got very annoyed and impatient with people who didn't understand that, and she would fire them.
I'm glad I didn't work for her.
Me too.
But we are glad you're doing this here on the 5th, 6th, and 7th of July, and hope to see you then, and all the best to you.
It's my pleasure.
In success. I mean, amazing. You are amazing.